Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. The New Mutants, number 47 from 1987, cover by Barry Windsor Smith. Awesome cover. Oops. Alright, we're gonna look at it again because I think it's just so flippin' cool. Barry Windsor Smith is notorious for using a lot of dashes, a lot of feathering. And so we begin right where we left off. So our title is My Heart for the Highlands, and the New Mutants have appeared in Limbo. I have a playlist where I have covered everything starting with the New Mutants graphic novel, #1, and then so forth. So this will be my 47th video of the New Mutants plus the 2 annuals and special here. And so they have escaped the Magus, and Illyana has taken them to Limbo. And everyone is knocked unconscious except for Sunspot. Here is our credits page. Chris Claremont writes, Jackson Guice pencils, and Kyle Baker inks. The editorial is Anna Senti and Jim Shooter. By the way, Jim Shooter, rest in peace. He died a few weeks ago as of this recording. One of the things that's kind of cool is the black. There is no highlights. The black covers all. So the demons see them and they're like, oh, meat. But then they, of course, see Illyana too. So off they go. And Sunspot wants to protect the New Mutants from the demons. He doesn't know what's going on. So he tries to change into using his mutant powers, but his powers are solar based and there is no sun in Limbo. And they see carrying Illyana, so he hides because he can't do anything, and he's just gonna see where they're gonna take her, and then he'll just take his chances there. So all right, so he goes to see if the others can help and tries to call them out, but everyone is unconscious. We got Warlock, we got Cypher, we got Wolfsbane, Cannonball, Magma, and Mirage. And so he's like, oh, I guess it's just going to be me. And of course, he explains magic's a demon sorceress. She's probably better off with her own kinds. But suppose they mean her harm. She's evil, serves her right. She's also a new mutant, so he's struggling with whether or not to help her or not. And so he decides, well, I'll go help. And so off he goes, and he ends up falling here into the water here. So it says here much later, so we got the demons here holding this sword here. And Illyana's on this table, and he grabs a stick here. He's like, some sort of temple, and they've placed Illyana in the altars as a sacrifice. Moment of truth, Hotshot. What's the plan? And then he can't come up with anything. Okay, then what would my hero, Thomas Magnum, do? Thomas Magnum would be the character that, for Magnum PI from the 1980 series. The character is, of course, played by Tom Selleck. And so he's going to improvise here and wishes he had a baseball bat instead of this twig. And so he sees here they're about to get her, and Sim ends up grabbing him. And Sim says, didn't anyone tell you it isn't polite to disrupt a church service? And you can see she is being stabbed, but this energy is coming out of her. And they explain it's a magical realm with a magical sword and a magical spell that gives a magical restoration here. There's a bit of miscoloring here. The hair should, of course, all be blonde, but there's a reddish part here. And so they helped her get back and heal her. And he's like, man, she's so pretty, but that makes her even more terrifying. So, and she thanks her for trying to save her. He says, it was nothing. I'd done the same for anyone, any of the New Mutants. And she says, what matters, chum, is that you did it for me. And so she's going to go here and help all the New Mutants here. And everyone is kind of terrified because of where they're at. So Magic is going to use her powers to create a facsimile of the mansion. And but it's not quite the same. It's still like demonic. So and Wolfsbane's freaking out because she is a Christian, and so they wondered about a fire. Mama says, "Well, I can get one started." And but she says it won't, it won't last long because she draws her power from the earth, and they're in limbo. So basically, now Magma and Sunspot are both powerless outside of the earth, and so they think that they're gonna be safe here. And Cypher asks, "How are you gonna protect us from the Magus?" That would be Warlock's dad. And he says, "For crying out loud, Eliana, he can tear the stars in half." And he continues here. He's after Warlock. He's after Warlock's hide, and you can bet he won't quit until he gets it, or we get him first. So Warlock feels terrible. He's like, I'm doomed. Warlock is cowardly, and it's a bit of a character flaw, and I think Claremont is playing that up because we need our heroes to have flaws and get over those flaws. That's what makes them heroic here. So, and his fear is so much that Danny here is uses her powers and uses a psychic manifestation to show Magus here, and of course Warlock kind of screams here, and it's just and she goes, "Oh my God, it hurts," and he goes, "Locke's fear so great, hit me so hard, bypassed my psychic shields, triggered special interface between my consciousness and his." And that she didn't do it on purpose, but he's definitely afraid, and it's just too strong. Which so she feels bad for what it was, and they're trying to console him here to get up here. But we are going to realize here that the Magus has made his way to Limbo, and you see here, foolish children. And this is a great splash page here. Did you really hope to escape the Magus? Beautifully done. Look at that. That's a splash page. Nice. Magus grabs these two demons here and takes their essence. And the New Mutants are going to try and fight. Magma's going to try to use her powers, but remember, she doesn't really have one, and at least not in Limbo. And so she falls here, and Cannonball's going to try and get her. And look at the poor little Warlock here. An admirable gesture, little wereling, but utterly wasted on my coward son. And so she tries to now use her fear power to see if he can show fear, but he's scared of Warlock, because if Warlock does what he should be able to do, he would kill his father. There's this species, the father kills the son, or the son kills the father. And so Ileana's like, okay, we need to get the heck out of here. So she's gonna do her spell again, and they're gonna go through a stepping disc and escape here. So now back on Xavier's school here, chartered in 1963. Of course, that's when Uncanny X-Men started here. And we have Moira McTaggart here, and she thinks that the New Mutants might be dead. She's looking at this picture of her with Rain. She is Rain's sort of adopted mother. And suddenly we see everything getting Magneto's using his powers here, and I say Magneto, not Magneto. Deal with it. And um, he doesn't think the New Mutants are dead. Moira thinks they're dead. And then he's looking at this food. He's like, we got to eat this food because this other guy's going to go to waste. And then he's looking at it and says, how can the mutants consume such stress and yet remain so healthy? I would be doing them a favor by throwing it away. So he looks at Brightwing and he says, I believe that they're alive. It's the virtue and the power of hope. This is a lesson I will not easily cast aside. So the New Mutants have shown up. They're back on Earth. However, if you remember, the stepping discs are not just you can't just transport from one place to another. You can also transport yourself in time. So even though they're on Earth, we're gonna see here that they're actually in the Middle Ages or somewhere around there, and they're actually in Scotland. And so we see some Scots fighting some Brits here. And Bobby sees that they killed this guy. And he's like, oh my gosh, gotta help. And so he takes care of these guys and knocks them down. And so these are the British that he's fighting here. And as she takes them. And this guy's like, we're going to get him here. But Cannonball shows up. So this is about all the action we're going to get in this issue here. So you see sorcery that he tries to hit her with the sword, but it melts here. And so they get the Brits out. There's this one just left, and Warlock gets him and the horse. Poor horse. The horse didn't do anything, but let's see here. Was this Magus or was this Warlock? I don't know. So anyway, all right. So this was about the Hilariana, but Karma possesses him, and then this guy Cypher hits him from behind, knocks him out here, and so he recognizes their language, which is English. However, keep in mind that this was a long time ago, and English then is not English now. So he probably would still not have a understanding of it, but he says, he recognizes English, but the English back then. And so it turns out that this guy is Robert the Bruce from history. And he said they're at the castle here. It says those knights served as a Sassenach for Baron Humphrey de Beaumont, as outriders for the army of their king Edward, who hungers for my land and crown. Curse him. I fear he may soon have both. Those who escape will return with reinforcements. And so he continues to tell them, I've no means to hold this little place, and much less stomach to see my loyal subjects butchered and hopeless as a cause, as my squire Douglas was. So I must flee until I'm taken or slain. Then they offer their helps, and he's like, no, that's fine. And he says, we can take care of ourselves. And he says, of that, Master Guthrie, I have no doubt. And so he likes Rain, and because she's also Scottish, and he gives her this necklace, and she's like, oh, I can't. And he's like, royal commands, my lady, must be obeyed. So look at poor Warlock here. And so, wearing the kilt. That's awesome here. And so they're wondering about Magus, can he find them there? Is he in limbo still? We need to get out of here and return to our and Bobby at a place is like, are we just gonna keep running, or are we gonna fight? And this guy explains to them, Robert the Bruce, he says, we share the same name, Robert, no small thing, when the name's the royal one, and I sense you a kindred spirit with a foolishness, passionate courage that matches my own. I too would rather fight than flee, but the responsibilities of a crown I wear demand I press on and play the hated hare, meaning a rabbit, until such time, better time as I once more become the wolf, not a glorious path, but the right one. And so they think they should go to limbo, and see if Magus is still there. And so um, Sunspell volunteers, and Magic says, "My power, Bobby, my realm, my job. I'll go." And suddenly, Warlock comes out from being cowardly. Says, "Nope, I'm the one." He says, "If Magus is still present in Limbo, then he'll kill me, and the New Mutants will no longer be in danger. If Magus has departed, Self can blaze a secure trail for friends." And they realize that that actually is a good idea. And so Bobby offers help, but Warlock says, "Nope, I have to do this. I have to be brave." And so they hug and they said, "Hurry back." And so off he goes, and suddenly he shows up and he says, "Contact negative, coast is clear." Real quick here. Magic says the sad part is if we'd be better off if his dad is in there waiting for him. And Bobby says, "Elena, how can you think such a thing?" And he says, "That's my nature." And so the next morning, they see Sir Robert, or Robert the Bruce, run away because he has to. They wish him good luck. And here come the New Mutants as they go through the stepping disc and says, "Ready or not, Magus, here we come. Next issue, Ashes the Heart." So, however, there is a couple of pinups here. This one by Alan Davis, really cool. Hellions designed by Bob McLeod, and then some pinups by McLeod. Here is oh my goodness gracious, Mirage, Cannonball, and Eliana here. Magic. Love the screen tones being applied. And then Sunspot. All right, the New Mutants, number 47. Chris Claremont, Jackson Guice, and Kyle Baker in the inks. Like and subscribe, and I do thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.